Ukraine's government has announced a significant adjustment to its wartime mobilization policies, now allowing men under the age of 22 to cross its border. This marks a notable shift from previous restrictions that largely prevented most men of fighting age from leaving the country since the full-scale invasion began. The decision comes amidst persistent discussion about the optimal balance between maintaining a robust defense force and addressing the broader societal and economic needs of a nation at war. Analysts suggest this policy changes could be a multifaceted response to several evolving factors. One perspective posits that the Ukrainian government is seeking to alleviate some of the social pressures associated with strict mobilizations, recognizing the long-term implications of retaining all young men within the country. This could involve concerns about the mental health of its youth, educational opportunities, and the need to preserve a demographic cohort that will be crucial for post-war reconstruction and societal rebuilding. The allowance for younger individuals to travel internationally might also reflect an assessment of the current manpower needs on the front lines, potentially indicating that the most critical age groups for direct combat role remain those slightly older and with more extensive training. Another interpretation is that this move is a strategic refinement of mobilization efforts designed to focus resources more effectively on specific age group deemed most essential for military service. By allowing younger men who may not yet have completed full military training or are still pursuing higher education to leave, the government could be aiming to streamline the mobilization process for those who are more readily deployable or possess specialized skills. This approach could help in optimizing the recruitment and deployment of forces, ensuring that those who are most prepared and necessary for immediate combat are prioritized, while others have opportunities for education or temporary work abroad that could ultimately benefit the country in the long run through remittance or skills acquisition. The policy also touched upon the delicate balance of international relations, as Ukraine continues to receive substantial support from Western allies, demonstrating flexibility in its internal policies. Even amidst a brutal conflict, could be seen as an effort to align with broader democratic principles and humanitarian considerations, potentially bolstering international goodwill and support. The change is likely to have varied impact, from personal decisions of thousands of young Ukrainian men and their families to broader societal and economic trends within the war-torn nation, as it continues to navigate the profound challenges of prolonged conflict. The specific parameters of these new policies are critical to understanding its full scope and potential impact. Ukrainian officials have indicated that while men under 22 are now permitted to leave, certain conditions and exemptions may apply. These conditions often relate to educational status, health, or family responsibilities, ensuring that the primary aim of national defense is not undermined. For instance, students enrolled in foreign universities, those with severe medical conditions, or men who are sole caregivers for dependents might be among the first to benefit from these relaxed regulations. The government's messaging emphasized that this is not a broad-based demobilization, but rather a targeted adjustment to existing rules designed to refine the country's approach to human resources during prolonged conflict. This nuance is crucial to prevent misinterpretations both domestically and internationally. The careful crafting of these regulations aims to prevent a significant outflow of potential recruits while still addressing the social and developmental needs of its younger populations. The relaxation of border crossing rules for men under 22 is also viewed within the context of Ukraine's demographic challenges. The war has led to significant population displacement and a decline in birth rates, exacerbating pre-existing demographic trends. By allowing younger men to pursue education or temporary work abroad, Ukraine could be seeking to mitigate some of these long-term demographic pressures. Hope is that many of these individuals will eventually return to Ukraine, bringing with them new skills, education, and financial resources that will be vital for the country's reconstruction and recovery. This forward-looking approach acknowledges that while immediate military needs are paramount, the future vitality of the nation also depends on preserving its human capital. The government's decision thus reflects a complex calculation that balances immediate defense requirement with long-term national development goals, demonstrating a strategic outlook that extends beyond the current conflict. The international community has closely watched Ukraine's mobilization efforts, and this latest policy adjustment is likely to draw further attention. Western allies, including the United States under President Donald Trump's administration, have consistently provided extensive military and financial aid to Ukraine. The perception of Ukraine's mobilization policies can influence the rhetoric and decisions of these allies, a policy that appear to be carefully considered and balanced rather than overly restrictive, may help maintain international support and solidarity. Conversely, policies perceived as overly harsh or unsustainable could potentially erode some of that support. Therefore, the Ukrainian government's communication strategy around this policy change is as important as the policy itself, aiming to reassure allies of Ukraine's continued commitment to defend while also addressing internal societal needs. Furthermore, this policy shifts for men under 22 could be an indicator of Ukraine's evolving military strategy. As the conflict progresses, the nature of warfare changes, and so do the requirement for personnel. Modern warfare often demands specialized skills, technical expertise, and adaptabilities, which may not always align with a mass mobilization approach focusing purely on combat numbers. By allowing certain younger demographics to pursue alternative paths, Ukraine might be signaling a greater emphasis on targeted recruitment and professionalization within its armed force. This could involve prioritizing individuals with specific technical skills, such as cybersecurity, drone operation, or advanced logistics, over a general conscriptions model for all able-bodied men. This strategic refinement suggests a mature understanding of the conflict trajectory and the need to adapt human resource policies to meet dynamic military demands effectively. The psychological impact of this policy on Ukrainian society also warrants considerations. For many families with sons approaching military age, the previous restrictions create immense stress and uncertainty. The ability for men under 22 to leave the country offers a measure of relief and choice, potentially reducing internal tensions and fostering a sense of hope for the future. While the war continues to be a brutal reality, allowing some flexibility in personal trajectories can contribute to psychological resilience within the population. It acknowledged that not everyone is destined for the front line and that diverse contributions are needed for national survival and eventual recovery. This nuanced approach to mobilization recognizes the importance of individual agencies and future prospects, even in the midst of a national crisis, helping to maintain morale and national cohesion. The implementation of this policy will undoubtedly face challenges, ensuring equitable application, preventing potential abuse, and effectively communicating the specific to a broad population will be crucial. Ukrainian border services and consular offices will need clear guidelines to manage the increased flow of individuals and address any complex cases that arise. The government will also need to monitor the impact of this policy on various sectors, including education, labor, and demographics, to make further adjustment as needed. This iterative process of policy refinement is characteristic of nations engaged in prolonged conflicts, where adaptability and responsiveness to evolving circumstances are paramount. The ability to learn from implementation and adjust accordingly will be key to the success of this new border policy and its broader strategic goals. This policy change for men under 22 is not an isolated event but part of a continuous process of strategic adaptation by the Ukrainian government. It reflects an ongoing assessment of the conflict's demand, the nation's human resources, and its long-term recovery aspiration. By allowing greater flexibility, Ukraine is attempting to manage the immediate pressure of war while simultaneously investing in its future. The delicate balance between military necessity and societal well-being remains a central challenge, and this latest adjustment represents a thoughtful, albeit complex effort to navigate these competing demands. The world will continue to watch how this policy unfolds and what further adaptation Ukraine will make as the conflict with Russia continues to evolve. The implications for national resilience, demographic stability, and international relations are profound, underscoring the multifaceted nature of wartime governance. That's all for me for today. If you like the video presentation and you would like to follow for more, hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye for now.